What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing something a little bit different. Today I want to sit down and talk about a topic that has been on my mind lately, which is brands that have lost their luster. They were once at the top tier of the totem pole, and now they're just kind of like, they're losing relevancy. And what they put out just isn't, there's no magic anymore. I'm just gonna put my makeup on, just gonna freestyle it. There's no rhyme or reason, no theme to it. I'll have all the products I'm using today listed in the description box below, and I may hold up the products as I'm going to, so let's get into it. The first brand I wanted to talk about, and this is one I feel like a lot of people could definitely argue against, and that is Anastasia Beverly Hills. I know, hear me out. So without doing any like extensive research, okay, this is just like common knowledge slash like if you've been in the beauty industry for a while, you know this stuff. But Anastasia herself came over from, what was it, Romania or I told you, there was like no research put into this video at all. She came over from a foreign country, okay? She was from a foreign land. Anyway, she came over here and was doing brows, like she was doing brows for celebrities and stuff like that. And that's when she realized like people just don't care about brows over here. And like brows are the windows to the soul. Like, no, they're the frames of the windows to the soul. But yeah, she saw a huge gap in the market with like the lack of brow products. So I don't know what her first brow product was. I think it was like the stencils, like the brow powders and stencils or something. But then they started venturing into eyeshadow palettes. At that time, Urban Decay really monopolized the market with their eyeshadow palettes, with the Naked palettes, which they sucked. She did an eyeshadow palette collaboration with Mario Didivanovic, Kim Kardashian's makeup artist. These guys own line now, it's a whole new thing. And then Amrezy, who was a huge Instagrammer at the time. Bottom line, Anastasia did collaborations before it was cool and trendy to do collaborations. And then in 2016, I feel like that is when the game changed for Anastasia and really made them a household name. And that is when they came out with Modern Renaissance. You could not watch a YouTube video back then without seeing this palette. Look at this. This is nasty. Like there's like no palette that I've hit pan on as much as this one. At that point, we were kind of used to the Urban Decay shadow formulation, which was good at the time. Like I said, they kind of monopolized on eyeshadow palettes. So, you know, people didn't really have anything else to compare it to. So at the time, that was a good formula. But what was so special about this one is the formula number one was so opaque and pigmented and soft and buttery, and we really hadn't seen anything like it up to that point. And also what was so ingenious about this palette was at that point, all we had really seen and all we were accustomed to was just neutral palettes. So we were starting to see a shift, like people are starting to get more into color. So the genius that is Anastasia, the brand, came out with this palette, which is just a neutral palette with like 3 red tone shades. That's it. So they realized, okay, we can do eyeshadow palettes. Okay, this is our world now. And then came Subculture palette. Was it 2017? If you don't remember, which I've tried to block it out myself, Subculture was a disaster. So they changed the formula. It wasn't the same as a Modern Renaissance palette, but the formula was so overly pigmented and opaque. There were a lot of complementary colors in the palette, and like where the tones, like the pigment was so strong in them, they would cancel each other out and make like neutral muddy tones on your eyes. And I think the worst thing about Subculture was how they handled it, because they handled it so poorly. Anastasia at one point came out and said that Subculture wasn't for beginners. It wasn't for novice level makeup artists. It was for highly skilled, like advanced level makeup artists, which is BS. I think that they tried a new pressing mechanism, like a new pressing machine. I think they changed the formula to try and make it better, and it bit them in the ass. They just didn't take responsibility for what they did, and then they were also kind of offensive with saying, you know, if you can't work with it, that's okay because this palette isn't meant for you. Like, you're just not good enough for this palette. And it's like, excuse me, your palette's not good enough for me. After that, I think they learned their lesson, and they learned that, yeah, that's not the formula that people want. Like, we gotta do better. So they came out with a few other palettes. I don't remember the order of them. I know there was like the stupid Norvina palette and whatever, but they had Soft Glam in like 2018, I think, or 2019. I think that was like a pivotal moment for them. Like, it kind of got them back in the game. Speaking of the Norvina palette, okay, excuse you. Norvina is what I think has been the biggest demise in Anastasia, which I feel like everyone at this point probably knows who Norvina is because she's made herself very well known. She's the daughter of Anastasia. So Norvina, whose name is Claudia Soar, is the president of Anastasia Beverly Hills. So Wait a minute, then what's her mom? Did Anastasia step down? Did we miss something? Okay, so they are from Romania. So, okay, I got that part right. Okay, so Norvina took over as president in 2016. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Norvina started coming out with her own products, and it became abundantly clear that her main goal was to become known. She's tried so hard to be an influencer. Like, she wants to be part of influencer culture so bad that it's kind of pathetic. In 2020, there was just a string of Norvina products, and it was so pushy and cash grabby and greedy. She was releasing the Norvina palette like every 2 weeks. Like, there was like the Norvina Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and then she had the mini size versions that came like months later, which people were pissed off about because it's like, okay, why don't you just tell us up front that you're gonna have a larger size and a mini size so we can decide, okay, we want the smaller version or the bigger version. Like, it was just very money hungry. Not only that, in 2020, like right before she came out with all of her Norvina crap products, she came out with 2 influencer collaborations. So they had the Carly Bible palette and the Jackiana palette. But I think they first came out with the Jackiana palette, and then like, what was it, like 2 months later, a month later, they came out with the Carly Bible palette. So they didn't give either influencer their own spotlight and their own time to shine. And then within like a couple of months or so, she started coming out with all the Norvina products, and you would see promotion for the Carly Bible and Jackiana palettes like here and there. For the most part, the promotion was all about the Norvina products. So Norvina came out with several excuses as to why they were putting out so many products, because there must have been a lot of backlash. But at one point, she came out and said that it was because they did research, and studies showed that if you don't put out products frequently enough, you become irrelevant as a brand, which makes sense. I mean, you have to come out with products to stay relevant, but like not every 2 weeks. I think their whole research was kind of based more on Colourpop. Like, I think they've been in competition with Colourpop for a while. Another reason she came out with later on, which I think is probably more along the lines of what actually happened, she said that Sephora was giving her her own section and own display, like in front of the Anastasia line. So it was kind of like she was making her own line, and you could tell that's what she was doing. Like, she was gearing up to make, you know, a whole Norvina line. Maybe she's just trying to like rebrand Anastasia as a whole and like just trying to make it all about herself, which, I mean, mommy should be a little pissed. Like, girl, all this work that I did and you come in here and you want to make it all about yourself? Like, you need to have a few seats. Sit the hell down. And that's a common problem with all these brands. Like, it's all or nothing. Like, it's either, okay, we got to stay relevant by putting out products every month or less, Colourpop, or we come out with products every like 2 or 3 years, and then no one cares anymore. And then cut to 2021. A couple of months ago, they came out with makeup wipes, okay? Makeup wipes. Makeup wipes are one of the most well-known, hated products in the skincare world, and you come out with makeup wipes in 2021? Are you kidding me? This to me shows their desperation level, okay? They were $6. $6, okay? Anastasia is a high-end brand, okay? And some people have been commending them and saying, you know, that's pretty on par with everything else, and you know, that's a good price point. But if you think about it, it's kind of pathetic. They're just trying to make some money. It doesn't matter where it comes from or how they do it. They're grasping at straws. Next brand I want to talk about, and this is one that you could definitely argue has not lost their luster. Like, they're still trying. It just doesn't hit the same. And that is Colourpop. I know, as I'm about to use a Colourpop product, and as I've been sitting here using a Colourpop palette. So Colourpop started in 2015, and I was right there, okay? I'm a veteran, I'm an OG fan. I've been there for a while. So they started their brand with, again, an ingenious, original, creative, unique idea that no one else had done, and that was the Super Shock collection, which was the best. So the Super Shock line, if you haven't tried anything from it, is this really unique formula. Like, it's like this putty, moussey texture formula. Oh, look, the Super Shock collection that they have today is not the same as what they had back then. I know they still have their eyeshadows, and I bought some here and there, but now they're more like glitter toppers, and back then they were like full-on opaque cream shadows. As an avid fan, like, you trust everything they do, like everything you touch is like gold. And I think the beauty and what Colourpop used to stand for was, you know, they had an amazing response time to people. Like, they stayed up to date with the trends without being like annoying with it. Ironic, because that's literally completely opposite of what they do now. They had originality. Like, they were doing products that were different. They filled that gap in the market where people were looking for high quality products at an affordable price. So jump forward to like now. All they do is eyeshadow palettes. It's just wall to literal wall eyeshadow palettes. Not only did they become extremely annoying with the amount of releases they were doing, like this started happening like a year and a half or two ago, like was it like 2019, something like that, where it was just like every 2 weeks, every month, it was a new collection, a new collaboration. They haven't stopped. And you'll always have people that will defend them and be like, well, you know, just because they come out with something doesn't mean you have to buy it. Like, not everything's for you, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, who else are they appealing to? Like, I'm part of their demographic. The thing is, Colourpop is adding to this whole culture of hoarding. Just waste, just buying too much and wasting it, like just to take pictures of it, like just for Instagram, just for YouTube and whatever. You can stay relevant without coming out with products every 2 weeks. So yeah, I definitely think you could argue that Colourpop hasn't lost its luster. Like, they're still trying, like they're not completely irrelevant. I think it's on the opposite side of the spectrum where they're almost too relevant, because it's a relevancy that I associate with annoyance. They're good, don't get me wrong, the stuff is good, but it's just not as good. But yeah, I think that's it for me today. I did have a couple more brands to talk about, but it's already taken me long enough as it is, so we'll save that for a future video. If you do want to see that, then make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more videos like this where I talk about just random stuff, including brands I think have lost their luster. And hey, subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I really appreciate it. And then here's a playlist for you. You might like it. And then here's a video that you also might like, so just venture around the channel, make yourself at home, and turn the notification bell on to never miss my stuff, so we can always hang out and talk juicy gossip about makeup brands and other stuffs. And I will see you guys in the next one. Mwah.